Child abuse affects children worldwide. There are a number of 3 million new cases of possible child abuse investigated by the U.S. Child Protection Services Department each year, quoted by an article by The Numbers Child Abuse. Child abuse is an awful thing that needs to be stopped. It is preventable by most people. If people see the child abuse happening, don't hesitate to tell. Also, just because abusers were abused in their childhood doesn't give them the right to abuse their child. It seems like they would want to give their child a better life and not put their child through the same thing they went through. When it comes to child abuse, people should take more action with finding who is responsible for child abuse, identify the different types of abuse and neglect, and watch the disabled children the closest. Who is responsible for the child abuse? The parents, teachers, coaches, and even it could be the social workers. Erin Fisher was a victim in child abuse by a former Penn State football coach from ages 12 to 15. A quote from Buick. However, parents are sometimes to blame for these harsh crimes. Marcella Pierce was just 4 years of age and was drugged to death by her mother, Charlotte Britt Pierce, in Brooklyn, New York. Charlotte, the mother who has been convicted of this awful crime, was sentenced to prison from 32 years to life. A quote from the article Child Abuse. Furthermore, the social workers in this case should be held more accountable. The social workers that was assigned to go out and visit Marcella's case failed false report about visits to her home, visits that never happened. The social worker has quit her job and awaiting court for criminally neglect homicide for failing to prevent Marcella's death. Another quote from the article Child Abuse. There are lots of different types of abuse and neglect. Physical abuse, emotional abuse, and abandonment. Quote from the Child Abuse and Neglect article. Physical abuse assumes various forms including shaking, beating, punching, biting, or burning the child, all quoted by the article Child Abuse and Neglect. However, sexual abuse has been reported to be ranging from molesting to incest. Disabled children should not have to worry at all about whether they will be abused or not. They cannot defend themselves, nor can some of them scream out for help. That is why they are a target for child abuse. Stalker and MacArthur say that disabled children are significantly more likely to experience abuse than their non-disabled peers. Also, the research that the Americans have done contributes to this information. Moreover, researchers constructed the children that are put in the register for emotional abuse and neglect were likely to disabled children than non-disabled children. They are also proved that children with communication and behavioral disorder had a much higher possibility of maltreatment, between 5 and 7 times of the non-disabled children. Nonetheless, deaf children are more a risk of sexual abuse, but the level of abuse is more serious than the general population. Although many people argue that caseworkers, parents, coaches, etc. should be held more accountable for this tragedy that is occurring, but some argue different. Opponents say that the caseworkers should not be held accountable for children that are abused or die, quoted from the child abuse article. Caseworkers are doing everything possible under these conditions and should not be punished when tragedy occurs. Therefore, it is hard for the caseworkers to do their job when critics have accused other caseworkers of child abuse or murder. When the caseworkers who was charged after Marcella Pierce's death told the New York Times the charges were severe only to create a climate of fear among the caseworkers. I don't know how to do this job, the caseworker told the newspaper. We're terrified. All quoted from the article Child Abuse. Child abuse is a terrible and awful thing. That it is a worldwide action that is not going away unless we put a stop to it. Everyone that is responsible for the child abuse should be charged with a crime. It is not right for the children to be scared to go home or to go to school because they are afraid of what will happen. Therefore, neglect and emotional abuse should have a penalty also because it hurts the child just as well as the physical abuse does. Furthermore, disabled children have it the worst when it comes to child abuse. They cannot protect themselves, nor then can they call out for help. People should be more concerned with child abuse and take more action, and less children would be hurt in these harsh situations.